Hello, FlossTube. This is Apple coming at you again from Massachusetts with FlossTube number 3. It's been a couple weeks since my last video. Lots has happened. Today out, it's kind of a gloomy, rainy-ish kind of day. Not quite rainy, but looks like it's going to. I love rainy days, so this makes me a happy girl. Here in Massachusetts, we typically get really, in my opinion, great winters, lots of snow. This year, we really haven't had much of anything. I'm the give me a couple blizzards a year kind of girl, so I'm still holding out hope. We still have, 6 weeks left of winter. So, fingers crossed, we get a few blizzards rolling in. Let's see, what has happened since I last talked to you. Let me go down some of the people that I've watched on YouTube. Well, first off, Cheryl McKinney of Tranquil Stitches shouted me out on her channel. I was like, oh my goodness. I was so excited. Paused it, rewound it, called my husband back in the room and said, honey, you totally have to see this. I made him watch it. He was polite, he was nice about it, and he got a giggle out of it because I was so excited, I think. Anyways, through this, a chain of events happened where people started coming to watch my channel, and that was fun. I had some new people watching my videos. I had people subscribing. I had people making comments. And of course, in return, I'm like going to all their channels and checking them out. Because FlossTube may be somewhat of a bigger community, I still feel like it's a small community. And I'm very proud to be a part of this community. So I watched, let's see, Gable Stitches, who I believe is also from Massachusetts. Hanging by a Thread. Primitive Stitcher, Stitch Too Far. I watched Leslie Hurley. I watched TrulyWickedCrafts, I believe is her name. I'm going to have to link her down below. She did this really great tutorial on the difference between a tent stitch and a half stitch. And I know they look the same, but I wasn't quite sure what the difference was. And she did it in a way, she did it on plastic canvas, so you could really see what she was doing. And it was fabulous. I think I understand the difference now, and I've saved the video, so when I have a need for it, I can go back and check it out. But if you're not quite 100% confident in the difference, fabulous tutorial. You totally have to check her out. I watched Alpha Stitchery. So Grateful, S-E-W, Grateful. Clever name, right? I watched... through this whole chain, reaction happened. Through people who watch me, one of the other ladies was doing the same one that I showed you before, the Stabby, by McFly Stitches. Well, next thing I know, I have McFly Stitches. Totally watched her video. She's doing the same one I'm doing. I mean, how exciting is that? Like, the community is small enough that I can actually go watch the designer actually cross-stitching the one that I want to do. I haven't started it yet, but I was like so excited. So I'm telling you, it's just been a great 2 weeks. So glad that I joined FlossTube Nation. And hopefully soon I will kind of get this down pat where I'm not so flustered. But we'll see how that goes. I still have to learn to edit videos, so unfortunately, until I do, what you see is kind of what you're going to get for a while. One of the stitchers mentioned to me that in Palmer, Massachusetts, there's a LNS, and it's about a little over an hour away from me, called Bush Mountain. And so I kind of had to go check it out. I mean, it can't be there and me not go, right? Like, kind of have to go. So I made the drive out there, and I walked in there and just was overwhelmed by the amount of things they have and the variety. And I'm telling you, if it's something that you're looking for, I would not be shocked at all if they didn't have it in there. I mean, they have everything. And I just had the greatest time kind of walking around, looking at everything, and they have samples on the walls, and the people who work there are just the nicest people ever. So I'm walking through the shop, making my way to the back, and just come to a dead stop. I stood there. I could have cried. Like I could have legit bawled my eyes out, but I wasn't going to lose it in front of strangers, because then they would think I was a little, you know, having a moment. So let me show you what made me stop. It's a couple of patterns by the Primitive Hare. First off, let me show you. I got it in this great bag by Show My Kenny of Tranquil Stitches. Fabulous project bags. Totally have to go check her out. And I think I mentioned this in my last video. When you subscribe to her, ding the bell, because she puts her project bags at the end of the video, and that's the only place you can get them. So unless you're one of the first people to see the video and then email her right away, it's going to be gone by the time you get it. So I shouldn't be telling you this because I want all the bags, but I'm going to tell you anyway because y'all are nice people, right? Right. So anyways, walking back through there, I see this. Do you see that this is Anne Boleyn? I think I have told you all that I'm a huge Henry VIII and his wives and Boleyn fan. How could I not get it, right? Had to get it. If life wasn't great at that point, it got better because then I saw this. The 6 Wives of Henry VIII. I felt like I just won the lottery, to be honest. I mean, could life get any better? Yes, it can. And let me show you why. Next, they have fabric. It has like old documents and Anne Boleyn's signature printed on it. The problem is the fabric, there's nothing here that tells you what it is. My assumption, which is probably wrong, is that it is a, where did it go? I believe it might be a 30 count Old Salem linen by Primitive Hare because it was literally right next to the pattern. They had some of these that were all done up and stitched and they're in a display and they're wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So I finally get over the shock of this and I'm like, oh my gosh, life is great, right? Then I saw this. It is a key fob, or a scissors fob, right? This is a take on the necklace that Anne Boleyn wore in one of her famous portraits. You know, the bee and the pearls. So, of course, I had to get it, right? Do you know why I had to get it? I think it was 2014 that my husband and I were in London. And we went out to Hever Castle, which was the Boleyn family home at one time. And in it, they have hanging a portrait of Anne Boleyn. And through the luck of having a tour guide who was the lookout, I was able to get my picture taken next to the portrait. Now, you may not be able to see, let me try it on the side. You may not be able to see her wearing the necklace in it. I don't know if I can, but she's definitely wearing the necklace, right? Look at me. Oops. I have the necklace on too. So, of course, I had to get the scissors fob. I mean, I still have my Anne Boleyn necklace. As a matter of fact, I have a few hoodies that have her picture on the back of it and has the bee with the pearl necklace printed on the front of it. Huge fan. So that like totally made my day. I was walking on air and I was so happy. I came home. I was so excited. I haven't stitched it yet. I feel, this is going to sound really bad, but I feel like I don't want to stitch it because I don't want to mess it up. And I don't want to break this feeling of excitement that I have it. Okay, don't get me wrong. At some point I probably will, but it's not going to be anytime soon. I'm just excited that I have it. So then, let me get back to my normal thing. Super Bowl Sunday. Watched the Super Bowl. A lot of people thought the game was boring. I, however, feel that it was not. Because what I want in a Super Bowl is a good, tightly matched team. I want teams playing against each other that are skilled. I don't want it to be a blowout game. I don't like the blowout games with the scores because I really want to see the people battle it out. I mean, the Rams were fantastic. I mean, you know, I'm a huge Pats fan, but I will give it kudos to the Rams. If the Rams had won, I would definitely give them kudos because it was a great game. Evenly matched. So my plan had been that I was going to start my Patriots helmet cross-stitch that I got for Christmas from Boston Needleworks. That's where the pattern's from. I didn't get it from them. I got it from Boston. My husband bought it at Boston Needleworks. But look at this. You don't mind her. So anyways, I didn't start it because I was actually enjoying the game so much that I was afraid I couldn't concentrate on two things at once. That was the problem. So it's over there. It will be started at some point soon. So in my last video, I mentioned that I saw in, I believe it was Cross Stitch Crazy magazine, that there was a pattern by Bothy Threads of Henry VIII with his wives and children in the magazine, and then I had ordered it. Well, it came. Look at this. Totally love it. And it's a whole kit. So it came fabric and everything. I probably will change the fabric on it. We'll have to see what strikes my fancy at that moment. So let's see. What else do we have to update? Oh, I learned a new trick. I haven't used it yet. Oh, look at my hair. I haven't used it yet, but I learned a new trick. I was watching, I believe it was Hanging by a Thread, who had been at one of the retreats, and she had learned that thread peels, which I didn't know they existed, what they're for is to go around, let me pull it out here. They go around a spool of thread to keep it from unraveling. These little funky thingies. So like if you have a spool of thread, you can wrap it around it. Of course, it's for a much smaller spool. There just happened to be the one nearby. And it will keep your threads underneath it, right? Well, she had learned at a retreat that for a Q-snap, and I'm going to show you the back of it or whatever, you have fabric or whatever you have going on up there, if it's perfectly over a Q-snap to help keep things right, to help keep it there, instead of using a hair, like a hair clip, like a big clip thing, because that's what I used. I'm excited. I don't have anything that has big enough fabric yet to kind of really put it on. Such a great tip, so I had to go get it, right? Ordered on Amazon, and honestly, they're really cheap. I think I got like, I don't know, it was like 48 for like 10 bucks or less. Totally will be worth it. So, girl with the pearl earring. You know, very excited. I was working on her. I got 2 pages in at our last update, the Scarlett Quinn's pattern. My very first full coverage, my very first Scarlett Quince, and enjoyed working on her immensely. Enjoyed working on her, just fabulous. I was going through all the dark areas of her. I was getting this done out of the way first so that I could start, you know, so I wouldn't find it so daunting when I go back to do work on it if that's all that I have left, because then I'll be like, oh, that'll be a never-ending thing. So I thought I'll do that and I'll get to the exciting part. Well, that's fine and all. I enjoyed it. And I was, let's see, as of a few days ago, I was maybe halfway through page 3. And then it happened. Like, the greatest, horriblest snafu happened. I think I've told you all that I have a Yorkie named Ozzy, which is short for Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Barkness, because I'm a huge Ozzy Osbourne fan. So, let me show you his cute little face before I tell you what he did. Look at this cute little face. I don't know if you can actually really see it there or not. I hope there's not much of a glare. But look how loving my baby is. He was laying on my lap. Look how, let's see. Look at this face. How could you ever get mad at that little face? Mommy can. I cross-stitch in the corner of my couch. So the other day I got up and instead of putting it on the end table like I would do most of the time, not always, but most of the time, I laid it on the couch and I, you know, left the room to go do what I was doing and came back and there was my little boy sitting there just so proudly on her, just sitting there, proudly on her. normally I would shoo him away and say, Ozzy, get off there. You're not supposed to be there. And I could shoot him away, and I looked at my fabric, and I thought, oh my gosh, that totally is not what I think it is. It was. He left some biological evidence behind. Let's just say he had used the puppy pad, and because Yorkies have a lot of hair, there was evidence still left on him that got all over my fabric. Not just the fabric, but where the stitches are. And I started to get really upset. And, at those times, sometimes things you hear pop in your head, and my grandmother's voice boomed in my head. My grandmother had a saying, and I'm going to use a bad word in this. Well, not in the saying, but about it. So I apologize to anybody. I don't mean to offend you. But my grandmother used to always say, nothing is a crisis unless somebody has died or is dead. Depending on her mood, she would say either has died or is dead. Then she would take a short pause and have this shit-eaten grin on her face, as my grandpa would call it, and say, even then, sometimes that can be a blessing. So I took a pause, and I remembered that nobody has died. Nobody is dead because of this. So though it's going to create a problem for me, it's not a crisis. It's not a true crisis. So I tried to wash the fabric. Wasn't really helping. I did a few washings. Finally got to the point where I thought, well, maybe it's going to be okay. But I think it's called modeling of the fabric. It was a hand-dyed fabric that I had purchased. Was in brown tones. So then I became slightly, I don't know if paranoid is the right word, but concerned that, maybe I didn't get it out. What if this is evidence left behind? Do I really want to keep doing this and then, frame it? Yeah, so I decided the better thing to do would be to just scrap it and start all over. Which is fine because I do a working copy of my pattern, so I can photocopy it again. I can do it again. And though it was weeks worth of work, it's not anything that I can't do again. So the truth is, I'm the one who deserved the lesson out of this. Don't ever put anything that your pet is jealous over on the couch. Make sure to put it on the end table where he can't go. And so I think I'm going to put myself on a timeout for a week or so before I start her again. I need to go through my small stash of fabric and find something that will fit her. And so I think my other lesson in this is don't use a fabric that can be mistaken for something else. So I think that the brown mottled fabric it looked like an antique-y, like paper brown kind of, probably not the best option for me to be using on anything. So I'm thinking I'm just going to go through and find something that has either a little more color in or something. It's full coverage, so it doesn't matter what the background is. I'm sure that if I look hard enough, I can find something here that might work for it. So that left me with no ongoing project. So yesterday, as I was watching FlossTube, and I decided I would start something, maybe just a smaller one, and then work on it for a little bit, and then I'll start the girl with pearl earring again. So I don't know if I showed this before. I have this pattern from, was it Twillies or Twileys of Stamford, and it's London. It's like a London scene. It's 6x6, so it's not huge, but it is a full coverage small piece, which I still had not accomplished finishing a full coverage piece because the girl with pearl earring met an early demise. So I did start that yesterday. Let me just move the needle off the minder here so you can see the minder. So this is the start that I got on it. And then this cute little needle minder. I kind of went with the project a bit. It's from Etsy's Mad for Minders, I believe it is. I've got a few from there, and they're all really good. So that's I'm just going to work on that for maybe a few days before I restart Girl with Pearl Earring. And then, let's see I think that really is my update. I just want to thank everybody who watched my videos and who have subscribed and commented on my videos. I like getting the comments. My first 3 videos now, this is my first 3, but my first 2, I was super nervous about them. I'm not one of these people who's really good in front of people. And so I appreciate the response and the positivity that y'all have sent me. I have learned from, what is it? Is it Homesteading on the Homefront? Is that her name? That there is a retreat here in Massachusetts at the local needle shop I went to. I think I mentioned it in my second video, in Littleton, Mass. Near there, it's like the Frugal Stitcher Retreat. I would love to go, but unfortunately I'm going to be away and will miss it. But you totally should check it out. I mean, if you're in this area or you want to come to this area, I say check out a retreat. I've never been to one. I really want to go to one. I'm nervous to go to one. I think, I'm gonna have to build some nerve to actually go. But I think it's something that I would actually enjoy. So anyways, I think you should, get to know your local needleworkers. I think that there's way more people in the New England area that stitch that I was unaware of. And it's nice to know that even though they may not be next door, they're still in my area. So there's still this possibility of maybe getting together and stitching, or, just communicating, having somebody nearby is comforting to a stitcher, because I don't know any other stitchers like in person. I don't know one single person who stitches. It's just me. So I was very excited to find there are others around here. I mean, I knew there were, but it's nice to know that they're on FlossTube too, if that makes any sense. I don't mean to confuse you all. Anyways, I think I've probably rambled enough. So anyways, I want you guys to have a wonderful stitchy week, and I will catch you on the next go round.